Welcome to all devotees. Now we start today. Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatajayam Udiret Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna Dandavat Pranam. Today we completing the Srimad Bhagwatam Canto 12 Chapter 9. Markandeya Rishi sees the illusory potency from Shloka number 17 to 34. ताडितः क्वचित् यादोभिः भक्षते क्व अपि स्वयं अन्योन्य घातिभिः क्वचित् शोकं क्वचित् मोहं क्वचित् दुःखं सुखं भयं क्वचित् मृत्युम् अवाप्नोति व्याधिभिः उत आर्दितः अयुत वर्षाणां सहस्राणि शतानि च वेतियुः भ्रमत तस्मिन् विष्णु माया आवृत्त आत्मनः सह कदाचित् भ्रमन् तस्मिन् पृथिव्याः ककुदी द्विजः न्याघ्रोदपोतं ददृशे फलपल्लव शोभितम् प्राग उत्तरस्यां शाखायां तस्य पर्णपुटके महामर्कत श्यामं श्रीमत् वदन पंकजं कंबोग्रीवं महाउरः कं सुनसं सुंदर भ्रुवम् विद्रुम आधारभासेशत् शोणित सुधा अस्मितं पद्मगर्भ आरुणपांगं हृदय आस अवलोकनं श्वासै जदवली संविघ्न निम्नम नाभित लोदर दलल उदरम नाभिदल उदरम चारो अंगुलिभ्यां पाणिभ्यां उन्नीयन् चरण अम्बुजं मुखे निधाय विप्रेन्द्रः दयन्तं वीक्ष विस्मितः तद्दर्शनात् वित परिश्रम मुदा प्रोत्फुल्ल हृत पद्म विलोचन अम्बुजः प्रवृष्ट रोम अद्भुत भाव शंकित प्रष्टुम पुरस्तं प्रसार बालकम तावत् शिशो वै श्वसितेन भार्गवः स अंत शरीरं मशक यथा अविशत् तत्र अप्यद अन्यस्तम् अचष्ट कृतस्नाशः यथा पूरा मुह्यत अतीव विस्मितः खम रोदसी भागण अनिद्रा सागराम भागणान अरि अद्रि सागरान द्वीपान सवर्षान ककुभ असुर असुरान वनानि देशान सरिता पूरा अकरान खेटान व्रजान आश्रम वर्ण वृत्तयः महांति भूतानि अथ भौतिक अन्य कालम च नाना युग कल्प कल्पनम यत्किंचित अन्यत् व्यवहार कारणम ददर्श विश्वं सदीवा अस्तम आश्रमं यत्र ऋषि अपश्यत् Vishwam Vipashan Shwasita Asita Shisho Vai Bahi Nirasta Napa Tata Laya Abdau Tasmin Prithviya Kakudi Prarudam Patam cha tat Parnapute Shayanam Tokam cha tat Prema Suda Asmitena Sudasmitena Nirikshita Apanga Nirikshana Atatam Balakam Viksha Netrabhyam Dishtitam Rudi Abhyayat Ati तावत्स भगवान साक्षात योग अधिश गुआ आशय अंतर्दध ऋषे सद्यो यथा इह अणिश निर्मिता तम अनु अथ वट ब्रह्मण सलिलम लोक संप्लव तिरो तिरोधाइक्षणात् अस्य स्व आश्रमे पूर्ववत स्थित translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. At times he was engulfed by the great whirlpools, sometimes he was beaten by the mighty waves, and at other times the aquatic monsters threatened to devour him as they attacked one another. Sometimes he felt lamentation, bewilderment, misery, happiness, or fear, and at other times he experienced such terrible illness and pain that he felt himself die. Countless millions of years passed as Markandeya wondered about and bewildered by the illusory energy of Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Once, while wandering in the water, the Brahmana Markandeya discovered a small island upon which stood a young banyan tree bearing blossoms and fruits. Upon a branch of the northeast portion of that tree, he saw an infant boy lying within a leaf. The child's effulgence was swallowing up the darkness. The infant's dark blue complexion was the color of a flawless emerald. His lotus face shone with a wealth of beauty, and his throat bore marks like the lines on a conch shell. He had a broad chest and a finely shaped nose, beautiful eyebrows, and lovely ears that resembled pomegranate flowers and that had inner folds like a conch shell spiral. The corners of his eyes were reddish like the whole of a lotus, and the effulgence of his coral-like lips slightly reddened the nectarine, enchanting smile on his face. As he breathed, his splendid hair trembled, and his deep navel became distorted by the moving folds of skin on his abdomen, which resembled a banyan leaf. The exalted Brahmana watched with his graceful fingers, placed a toe within his mouth and began to suck. As Markandeya beheld the child, all his weariness vanished. Indeed, so great was his pleasure that the lotus of his heart, along with his lotus eyes, fully blossomed, and the hairs on his body stood on end. Confused as to the identity of the wonderful infant, the sage approached him. Just then, the child inhaled, drawing Markandeya within his body like a mosquito. There, the sage found the entire universe arid as it had been before its dissolution. Seeing this, Markandeya was most astonished and perplexed. The sage saw the entire universe, the sky, heavens of and earth, the stars, mountains, oceans, great islands, and continents. The expanses in every direction, the saintly and demoniac living beings, the forests, countries, rivers, and mines, the structures, and the occupational and spiritual activities of the various social division. He also saw the basic elements of creation along with all their byproducts as well as time itself, which regulates the progression of countless ages within the days of Brahma. In addition, he saw everything else created for use in material life. All this he saw manifested before him as if it were real. He saw before him the Himalaya mountains, the and his own hermitage, where he had the audience of the sages Nar Narayan. Then, as Markandeya beheld the entire universe, the infant exhaled, expelling the sage from his body and casting him back into the ocean of dissolution. In banyan tree growing on the tiny island and the infant boy lying within the leaf. The child glanced at him from the corner of his eyes with a smile imbued with nectar of love. And Markandeya took him into his heart through his eyes. Greatly agitated, the sage ran to embrace the transcendental personality of Godhead. At that moment, the supreme personality of Godhead, who is the and who is hidden with everyone's heart, become invisible to the sage, just as the achievements of an incompetent person can suddenly vanish. After the Lord disappeared, O Brahmana, the banyan tree, the great water, and the dissolution of the universe all vanished as well. And in an instant, Markandeya found himself back in his own hermitage just as before. Purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The young child was the supreme personality of Godhead. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Lord Krishna wondered, so many devotees are hankering for the nectar of my lotus feet. Therefore, let me personally experience that nectar. Thus, the Lord, playing like an ordinary baby, began to suck on his toes. Markandeya wanted to ask the child about his identity before uh, uh, approach us and the purport of the humble servant of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 12th canto, 9th chapter of the Srimad Bhagwatam entitled Markandeya Rishi sees the illusory potency of the Lord. Hare Krishna Dandat Pranam. Om Jnana Timirandasya Yanjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवान् च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण अद्वैतं साधुतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सगण ललिता श्री कान्वितांच नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेमाले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत नामिने नमस्ते सते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात देशतारिणे वांछा कल्पतरुभे च कृपा सिंधुभे एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna Dandat Pranam. Today we completing chapter 9 of Srimad Bhagwatam canto 12. Markandeya Rishi sees the illusory potency of the Lord. When Markandeya Rishi asking in benediction from Supreme Lord to see the illusory energy of him. Then, according to that, when he saw the energy of potency of the Lord that described uh, in these shlokas, they describing how the infant dark blue complexion was the color of the flawless emerald. Like that description of given the child to whom Markanda Rishi saw on the leaf, lying on the leaf of the banyan tree. They're describing there. And then how that illusory potency disappeared. That is the God accept his devotee's desire, and he appeared there. All these things, and after that disappear, and he himself saw in his hermitage as it is. That described in this shloka. Prabhuji will tell you in detail. Vancha kalpatarubhecha कृपा सिंधु एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, having heard from Mataji about this illusory experience which Markandeya Rishi had, let us first understand what illusion means as described by Krishna. So Krishna says, this illusion, which is the effect of Maya, is my own external energy. So basically, it is an energy of Krishna. And what do we call as illusion? Something which is not there, and still we feel it is there. That is illusion. So that which is not is illusion. So many times we get this question of Markandeya Rishi was supposed to be there in the inundation, and then even after inundation he was there. And generally inundation happens at the end of the day of Brahma. So does it mean that he was there for 2 lives of Brahma? And if he was there for 2 lives of Brahma, then why is it that at the beginning, in the previous chapter, we saw that Markandeya Rishi came under the rule of the 7th month? So the answer lies here in this particular part, that the inundation which we are referring to was nothing but the fulfillment of the desire of Markandeya Rishi. So this whole description which you have started seeing since yesterday, where we saw that there was water everywhere, and the animals, the monsters, the aquatic living beings, they were all trying to attack our Markandeya Rishi. He had become completely thirsty. He was hungry. And he was just moving around aimlessly in the darkness in which he had fallen. And he became completely exhausted, losing all sense of direction. And since everything was filled, he could not tell what is sky, what is earth. At times, there would be whirlpools and he would get engulfed by it. At times, mighty waves. And at times, the monsters, they tried to attack him and devour him. He felt lamentation, bewilderment, misery, fear, happiness. And at times, he felt ill and pain, as if he was dying. And in this way, the time kept on passing, countless millions of years. And Markandeya Rishi just wandered in that deluge. His mind was completely bewildered. And exactly this is what he had prayed to Narayan. And then came the second part. While wandering, he came across a small island on which there was a beautiful young tree. which was blossoming, having fruits. And in that tree, on a branch towards the northeast. Now, northeast is a very specific direction. It is said that that is a direction where the infant boy was lying. So it's a pious direction, northeast. So in that portion, he saw the infant boy on a leaf. And this boy was effulgent. And so there was no darkness around him. And just like Krishna, his complexion was dark blue, which was equivalent to a flawless emerald. And then his face, beautiful. His throat, the marks of conch shell. He had a finely shaped nose, beautiful eyebrows, ears. Such beautiful child. Eyes were reddish like the whirl of a lotus. And his lips slightly reddened, nectarian. And the smile was enchanting. And when he breathed, his splendid head trembled. Such is the beautiful description. And Markandeya Rishi was completely amazed. And to add to his amazement, the infant took hold of his lotus feet with his fingers and placed the dough in his mouth and began to suck. As soon as someone can see this, definitely the whole weariness can vanish. But here, why Krishna created this illusion, there is Shastric explanation. Everyone gets benefit by looking at the lotus feet of Krishna. And so Krishna wanted to understand what it is there in his lotus feet. And that is why he started sucking the toe of his foot. Markandeya Rishi felt immense pleasure. And he was very, very happy. So he wanted to understand who is this child, this infant. And he wanted to approach him. And then immediately the child inhaled, and Markandeya Rishi was completely drawn into his body like a mosquito. There, the whole universe, as it was before the dissolution, could be seen. And Markandeya was inside that infant, was astonished and perplexed. He, in fact, saw the whole universe as it is. All the forests, the saintly persons, demoniac persons, mountains, oceans, everything. In fact, he even saw the Himalayan mountains, the Pushpabhadra river, his own hermitage. And thus, while he was seeing this whole thing inside the infant exhaled, and the rishi was thrown from his body. And there he could see the whole ocean of dissolution again. There he still could see the banyan tree, the infant boy lying within the leaf. And the boy just glanced at Markandeya Rishi. And with a smile, he looked at him. And Markandeya Rishi just kept looking. He wanted to run and embrace the child. And at that time, Krishna, who is the original master of all mysticism, he vanished. And thus, as soon as he vanished, even the banyan tree, the water, the dissolution of the universe, everything vanished. And in the instant, Markandeya found himself back in his own hermitage, just as before, on the bank of Pushpabhadra, doing his worship as usual. This shows that it was all an illusion. And thus, Krishna had fulfilled the desire of Markandeya Rishi. But there are many things which we learn from this description. First and foremost, how Even Krishna wants to taste the nectar of his own lotus feet. And that is why he actually is sucking his own thumb. How Krishna fulfills the desire of his devotees, come what may. And so, if ever we get an opportunity, we should be very careful of what we request Krishna for. Because we may not get the opportunities again and again. So our objective has to be fixed, clear, that yes, what we want from Krishna is to be allowed to come back home, back to Godhead in Golok Vrindavan and take up our eternal position of servitude to Krishna. This world, as was seen in the illusion, can give you everything: lamentation, happiness, grief, depression, anxiety, illness, as well as immense satisfaction and happiness at different points of time. But then all of it is nothing but an illusion. What is factual and truth is only Krishna, who is Anadir Adir Govinda, one who neither has a beginning nor has an end, who is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is what we have to remember and serve Krishna for. That is what we have to aspire for. And that is what we learn from this important story of Nar Narayan Rishi fulfilling the desire of Markandeya Rishi. That is what we learn, that it is better to get out of the illusion and to get away from all the mysticism that is happening. Finally, we are always going to be at the same place. Just like this body is changing every moment, we are also changing every moment. But then that change should not be material. That change has to be spiritual, taking us back home to Godhead. That is the journey for which the change has to be happening. That is the change that we have to be aspiring for and inculcating in our daily livelihoods. So let us pray to Nar Narayan that may we also get this opportunity to face him, meet him, but then we don't want any illusion. We want to actually keep serving him happily ever after. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyaश्च कृपा सिंधुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. Coming Monday is Ekadashi. So those who are doing the fast can start from Dwadashi, that is Sunday, then Ekadashi on Monday and Dwadashi on Tuesday.